This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. We have a phenomenal show for you today. The pitching doctor, Scott Emerson, is going to be by. We're going to talk about pitch sequencing and how to get hitters out like this guy, Brent Rooker. Nick Allen, former A's shortstop, now doing a great job for the Atlanta Braves. We always loved Nick. Great kid. He'll be by, too, also. So Emo's going to be at 5:40. Nick Allen will be at 5:30. But Brent Rooker, the all-star, will lead it off here with us on a very special day. It's Lawrence Butler's birthday. It's his bobblehead. You've had your bobblehead out. How's everybody enjoying this day, Lawrence Butler's B-Day and the bobblehead?
It's been great so far. You know, anytime we can focus on Lawrence is a plus. We love Law. We love celebrating Law, and it's a very cool bobblehead. So everybody's having a good time.
All right, for you, going back to the All-Star game, a lot of us thought you should have gone last year to make it 3 years in a row. But going this year again, what does it mean for you in your career?
It's really cool, man. It's affirming in a lot of ways. Like I talked about earlier in 2023, I kind of figured it was a once in a lifetime, once in a career type thing. So to be able to kind of maintain that production and do it again at a high enough level to be able to go back for a second time is cool and humbling and exciting and all those type of things.
Well, I tell you what, if you want someday, there's a future in television for you because of your honesty and you tell it like you see it, and you're really good at it. I thought what you said to the media that day was so raw and real when you admitted, like, I didn't feel like I belonged that year. I don't think a lot of people would do that. I thought that was pretty cool, and how open you were about it. And to me, also what makes this time just so much more special.
Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I walked in that locker room in Seattle and saw my jersey and saw the rest of the jerseys that were there. And, you know, it's kind of like one of these things doesn't belong here. And that's probably mine. I didn't feel like I was the same caliber of player as the rest of the guys in that clubhouse. So to be able to do it again 2 years later, just continues to help me build confidence and know that I can go out there day in, day out and compete at a pretty high level.
Now, you got a young family. I think what's one of the special things about the All-Star game is the kids may not totally remember it, but years from now, when they grow up and they see those pictures and those videos with their father at the All-Star game, do you think about those moments? Because when you want to talk about priceless, those moments are priceless.
For sure. You know, just anytime you can create experiences or memories for your children, it means a lot. You know, Blair is pushing 4, so I don't know when you start remembering stuff. She might be getting close to that age where she can have some very vague memories later on of things that are happening. But we'll have the pictures, we'll have the videos, we'll have the memories for me and Allie and the experience, and be able to look back on those things and remember them will be really cool.
Or you just keep going to All-Star games for like the next 8 years, and then they'll always remember it.
That would be plan A for sure. That's plan
A. Your year, we've talked a lot about it here on A's Cast Live. I've brought it up on NBC. You know, when they asked me, who's your first half MVP, and, I'm just not saying it because you're here now, but I said it was you because of the way you followed up. Last year was a career year. I mean, that was it was an MVP-like year. And to follow up that kind of year with the year you're having now and the responsibility that you've done a great job with, taking over that leadership role. You've signed the contract extension. You've made the personal commitment to this organization. You've stood up in front of all the guys multiple times, especially during that rough May. To me, I look at what you've done this year as, whatever it means, first half MVP, but it means a lot that when they come up here and we talk about, hey, who's helping you get through tough times, they always bring up your name. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. To have my teammates view me in that way is special and means a lot. But one of the things I kind of emphasize is by no means is this my team. This is Kurtz's team. It's Jacob Wilson's team. It's Lawrence's team. It's Sodi's team. It's that young crop of guys that are coming into the league and coming into their own. It's their team. I'm just here as the old guy trying to kind of shepherd them along and bring them along and teach them what I know and share from my experience to help them ultimately maximize their talent. Because every single one of those guys, and including others that I didn't name, have more ability than I do, or more talented than I am, and have the potential to be far better players than I am. So if I can just help them kind of come into their own and grow into their talent and reach their potential here in the league, I feel like I'll have done my job.
I think about experiences. Experiences make good leaders. It helps you teaches others when you've been through such an interesting journey. I think when you go to the All-Star game, your journey is as interesting as anyone's, because a lot of the guys there, they haven't gone through the issues that you've had. I mean, you came out as a top pick, but it wasn't all roses. And then now, I mean, we even talked about when you signed the contract extension, at one point you and your agent were talking about maybe going to Japan. Your experiences can help all of these younger guys, because you've been to the very, very top now with the contract extension, the All-Star game and everything, and you've been at what some people would think was the low when you're really starting to wonder about your career. How much does that play when you help these young guys and you try and get them through the tough times?
A ton. I think some of the value in my story and my experience is something I try to communicate is I can, wherever somebody's at in their career, I can meet them there, because I've been there, right? I've been a fairly high draft pick, kind of being the prospect in the minor leagues. I've been the guy, like I guess the prospect getting his first shot in the big leagues. I've been the guy trying to stick. I've been the bench piece who just kind of comes off and pinch hits late in games. I've been the 41st guy on a roster, 27th guy on a roster, whatever you want to call it, who goes back and forth. And now I've gotten to the point where I've been the guy who hits third every day and is an all-star multiple times. So I've kind of played every single role you can play on a team. So no matter where guys are at in their career, I can meet them there. I've had that experience. I know what they're going through, and I understand kind of what it takes to both succeed in that role and to, push forward and take the next steps to get to the next place.
You fired up for Home Run Derby?
Super excited. Yeah, I think it's going to be a blast.
Who's going to pitch to you?
It'll be a guy named Joe Caruso. He was my hitting coach all growing up, my travel ball coach in high school, and he throws me in the off season. So he'll be locked in, ready to go.
That's always something that we don't find out until the actual show when they start talking about it. But it is one of the really cool things about Home Run Derby is that you get to celebrate it with other people, and to have someone like that who's been such a big part of your life, to have them celebrate with you on the big stage. A lot of pressure, right? He's got to throw the strikes, but I think that's got to be pretty cool too, is that you're celebrating it with others.
I think so. He's been a part of my life and my baseball career since I was 9 years old or so. He's probably thrown more BP to me in a cage than anybody else. So we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good experience.
All right, second half expectations. What do you have for this team?
I think we're going to keep getting better. I think we're going to keep improving. I think a lot of our young guys have learned a ton this year in terms of how to succeed, in terms of how to fail, which is just as important as learning how to succeed. And I think you're going to see us grow into a team that is going to have high expectations coming into spring training next year.
Yeah, no doubt. And with all with the team getting better, I know there. We'll end on this. I know there's somewhere there was expectations this year. You're not happy with the way it went, but how important is it to really get it back on track so we can talk in the offseason, go into spring training with the message of, yes, this team is getting better? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think we've done that throughout the course of this year. I think we've gotten better. I think we've learned what we needed to improve on. We've learned the areas we needed to grow to compete at the level that we want to. And I think we're just going to continue that throughout the last, whatever it is, 70 games or so that we've got.
Well, congratulations on being an all-star. Good luck. Have a good time, Home Run Derby and the game. Enjoy it with the family, because those memories, they'll last forever for you and your family, and it's a big deal. So congratulations once again on being an all-star. And have a good break, and we'll see you in the second half.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Brent Rooker right here on A's Cast Live. What a great way to start the show. Talking about Brent now going to be in Home Run Derby once again. Nick Allen is going to be here at 5:30, and then Scott Emerson will be here at 5:40. A lot to talk about today to get into. Yeah, happy birthday to Lawrence Butler. Happy birthday to our good buddy Road Trip Mike. It's his birthday also. Do you know that? Oh, he's struggling. It's Road Trip Mike's birthday, so happy birthday to Road Trip. But
I did not know it was his birthday, so happy birthday, Road Trip.
Special time to talk about Lawrence Butler. We had him on the show yesterday, and it's interesting how much Brent Rooker will deflect. It's what great leaders really do. If you heard right there, it's not my team, it's the young guys' team. I'm just here to help their journey. Now, you really think about what he just said there, but the reality is he's got a 5-year extension. He's going to be here through Las Vegas, so it's not like he's going anywhere, right? So he understands he is the leader of this young group, but if he wants to get to where he wants to be in his career, which is what all these guys want, is to get to the World Series and to win a World Series, he knows these young guys got to get better around him. That to me is that's pretty cool, because in a sport now where we have people getting paid such ridiculous amounts of money, the attitudes, a guy like Brent Rooker understands how lucky he is to have what he has, and that his job, if he's going to get to that ultimate goal, to the top of the mountain, the young guys around him got to perform. I think we're very lucky to have a guy like Brent Rooker. And you remember his story. Some of you might not remember his story. It's a couple of years ago, we're at spring training, and the very last cut, what are you going to do? Christian Pache, who was a part of the Matt Olson trade, and the Atlanta Braves are in town, and Christian Pache is out of options. So if you don't put him on the roster, someone's going to pick him up, and immediately that's what happened. Philadelphia picked him up. So I remember being in spring, and we were A's Cast Live. We were, hey, who would you rather have? Because we didn't know much about Brent Rooker, right? We knew Brent Rooker, Mississippi State, big deal, top prospect, never really done anything. Obviously, our front office liked him. But, we've gone through plenty of guys that our front office liked, and it turned out they weren't any good. It's like, oh, they like this guy. Huh? Okay. They had to make a decision, and it was literally a last-minute back and forth between David Force and the rest of the staff. And eventually they decided on Brent Rooker to be the 26th man. We were 26 then, right? Yeah, so the 26th man. Christian Pache would end up in Philadelphia. Brent Rooker would stay here. Brent Rooker would start out kind of only playing against left-handed pitching. Then he would take off. He had this monster 4-game set against the Baltimore Orioles in Camden Yards, and that would lead to him going to the All-Star game, and where we are now with his 19 home runs and being an All-Star and being one of the top offensive forces in all of baseball, and especially in the American League, is going to be on the American League All-Star team. His story, you can't say it enough, and like I've said before, not many guys who go to the All-Star game have his story. Not many guys who are in the All-Star game went through that many organizations. Not many guys said, hey, is it time to go to Japan to try and make a living? I mean, everything that he's been through. Not many guys, when you walk in there into that clubhouse, it's, the All-Star game, a lot of the players, it's the who's who. They don't have the career path that Brent Rooker has had. So pretty cool for him to go. And with the 2 young girls, it's going to be a really special time.
Yeah, by the time this season ends, knock on wood, Brent Rooker in 3 years, 3 full seasons playing for the Athletics, will have over 100 home runs. Which means he's averaging over 33 per year. He's at 88 right now. If you look at what he's doing, going into the All-Star break, we still have 4 games left today and then the 3 against Toronto. It's pretty incredible for a guy that barely made the roster a few years ago, now has a 5-year contract, and he's going to have another great year for the Athletics and be in the Home Run Derby, looking to be just the 3rd player to ever win the Home Run Derby as a member of the Athletics organization.
3 overall wins. Yeah, you can't say 3 because Cespedes won 2.
Back-to-back. Mr. Back-to-back.
I was at the one Mark McGuire won. I was in college, San Jose State. I would go back home. So back in the day, I don't even know if they still got it, but back in the day, Major League Baseball sponsored a wood bat collegiate league in San Diego where guys would come from all over to play in. So I would go home and play in this. And I remember I went to the All-Star game with my mother. It was the 1992 All-Star game, but I also went to Home Run Derby. That is when I think it was the best, where you got 10 outs.
Mm-hmm.
You got how many home runs you hit in 10 outs? Once you had 10 outs, you were done. So it was McGuire, it was Bonds, it was Piazza, it was the Big Hurt, it was Griffey. It was a who's who home run derby, the 1992 home run derby. So I was there when the great Mark McGuire won it back then at Jack Murphy Stadium.
I've been to the one in 2022 at Dodger Stadium with my wife and my father-in-law. I can't remember who won the home run derby that year. Then I went in Seattle.
They're just too long.
I went the following year in Seattle when Adley Rutschman he switch hit in the home run derby. That was pretty cool to see. It was Randy Arozarena versus somebody in the final. I can't remember who it was, and Arozarena ended up losing. But it was cool to be there for. But yeah, the home run derby is very long now. I still pick to go to. I'd rather go to that than the All-Star game. But
it jumped the shark when Josh Hamilton hit that record amount of home runs at Yankee Stadium.
Oh yeah,
and then that was like the thing, and then it kept going. And he ended up losing. He wasn't the home run derby champion. And no one even remembers the champ. Couldn't even tell you who won at Yankee Stadium. I just remember Josh Hamilton put on one of the greatest power displays that you've ever seen. Morneau won it. Yeah, who even remembers Justin Morneau was even
2008.
11 Low won it. You remember Josh Hamilton hit how many in that one round? Like 20-something or what? It was insane.
28 to be exact. Then a couple of years later, I think it was Jock Peterson and was it Vlad Guerrero Jr., whoever, they ended up hitting like 30 or something in a round. Like, it was incredible. They went back and forth in like the first round when it was Jock, and I want to say I think it was Vladdy Jr. did it.
All right, so we had Jose Canseco in 1986 at the Astrodome. McGuire participated at the Coliseum in 87. Wrigley had Canseco and McGuire. That was I remember. Do you remember? You guys probably don't remember, but 1990.
They had lights there then.
They had people were hanging out of the buildings because Wrigley was different then. And I remember the guy hanging out of the building. It was actually in right field, so it would never, but it said, Jose hit it here. I'll never forget that. Remember Jose Canseco was the biggest deal in baseball. So
Johnny.
I was there in 92 when McGuire won it at the Murph. Ruben Sierra, don't remember this, 1994 at Three Rivers. I want to say Griffey won that one. We don't need to fact check everything. Veterans Stadium, McGuire again in 96. McGuire 97, Jacobs Field. John Jaha in 99 at Fenway. Giambi 01 at Safeco. Cespedes at Citi Field in 2013. Donaldson and Cespedes 2014. Matt Chapman at Progressive Field in 2019. Matt Olson 2021 at Coors Field. Pretty cool. So
that's good stuff, Towny.
Thank you, Ken Korak. Brent Rooker will be in the Home Run Derby, so giving us a reason to actually watch Home Run Derby. Cannot wait.
I'm trying to. The bracket was supposed to come out tonight. And Greg Korn from Athletics PR told me it's supposed to come out at 4:00 our time. It was on ESPN, and I haven't seen it because there's still one participant left open who hasn't joined yet. So the bracket was supposed to come out. I wanted to see who Rook was matched up against, all that stuff. I haven't seen anything on it yet.
So we're supposed to know at 4:00.
I just know that
it's 4:18.
I just know that the winner's going to get a derby chain.
I like it.
But that's all I see. I don't see anything
They're
about.
going to get a chain, not a belt, not like a wrestling belt.
Yeah, it just says
WWF Championship.
Yeah, it just says the 2025 Home Run Derby chain is what people are calling it. But nothing about who's the last participant and who is going to be facing them against who. So, crack staff, if you see this come out at any point, let us know. That's Michael and Kyle that we're referring to as the crack staff of what comes out. It's going to be fun. You're right. It gives us a reason to watch the Home Run Derby that Rooker's in it. Selfishly, my hot take from 2 years ago finally comes true after I doubled down on it.
I've been waiting for
after
you
I
to
doubled
bring
down
it.
on. Well, no, you guys talked trash the other day in the 7th inning.
It'll always come back to Cody. Come on, Cody. You've been waiting. Come on. Let him know.
I told John, I said, I don't get a lot of hot takes right, but when it comes to the All-Star game, I usually nail them. Well, I got Skeens and I got this right. So that's really about it. I got 2 out of how many hot takes?
You know what? Wait, did you say Rooker would be in this year's?
I said I doubled down. I said All-Star and Home Run Derby.
Okay. I'm happy for you, Cody.
Thank you.
I'm really happy.
I appreciate your gratitude.
It's not about him being in the Home Run Derby. It's about your hot take.
Yeah, that's the first thing I said to him.
It's a did you? Of course,
I made it about me. I didn't make it about him.
Of course, you did. There's one thing the Commander is about. It's about the Commander. One thing I can't find the story now. I had it up on my phone, but when Rooker got here, I had to click over to my timer. Something happened today in baseball, and you can look it up. Who's the Oriole reliever that got traded?
I think it was
to the Rays.
Was it Ryan Baker?
I don't know. Look it up. So the Orioles have traded a reliever, and it's like the first sign that
Brian Baker.
So the Orioles are finally like, all right, yeah, this is it for us. We called the Braves the biggest disappointment in baseball. The Orioles would probably be 1B or number 2 when you take the biggest disappointment in baseball. But the thing that got me reading the article, and there's a lot going on. You just sent me last night, or was it earlier today, an article from The Athletic about the commissioner of baseball. They're going to start making their rounds to the players, going to start talking about what the owners are thinking about. We want to avoid labor stoppage coming up as the December 2026, the CBA will officially be over. We do not want to lose any part of the 2027 season. But here the Orioles are. They traded this reliever for a draft pick. So they're going to have X amount of draft picks. It's like 4 or whatever it is. I had it in the article. It's gone now. MLB.com that have the Orioles article. They've had got 4 draft picks in the first 37 picks and then like 6 picks in the X amount of 90 picks. So they're back to talking about draft picks. And their draft pool is a record like $19 million.
$19,144,500.
So you have the article that
that part popped up right there.
So how many picks? So they have 4 picks in the first 37.
I'm trying to find out where it says that.
So it's above that in the article.
So the 19 million's in there. 4 of the first 37 picks and 7 of the first 93.
Okay. The Orioles just got new ownership. This new owner talked about things are going to be different. And if you're an Orioles fan, here you're back to your organization talking about draft picks again. You just went through this whole cycle of Mike Elias comes over from the Houston Astros, tears your organization down to the studs the way the Astros did. You went out, got a ton of draft picks. You tanked. One of the reasons why you can't tank for the first pick anymore is because of the Astros and the Baltimore Orioles. So they went the tank route, changed baseball forever. We're not going to allow you to do that anymore. You got all these picks. You got competitive. You won your division. And now here you are with the new owner, had success, have all this talent. You're now talking about draft picks again. And this is the damn problem. And this is why we need a salary floor. More than we need a salary cap, because we basically have a salary cap now. Now, there's been teams, especially the Dodgers, who can circumvent it with deferred money, which that's something I think they will change in this next CBA if they don't get a hard salary cap. But the thing is, and it applies to us, the A's too, we all need to spend more money. And the way to do that is to have a floor. Not only have a ceiling, but to have a floor. And if you have a floor, everybody, Scott Boras is all the tide raises all boats. Well, a floor is like the tide. It raises all salaries, all boats, right? All of a sudden, if you just said, I'll just throw out a number, $120 million. If everybody had to spend $120 million, everybody. I mean, look how many teams it would raise their payrolls. Now, all players. The problem is their system. The system is set up now just for the big-time free agents, when the reality is most players will not be big-time free agents. Most players will never see that. I would be all for shrinking when you become a free agent, getting a salary floor. I mean, there's things that you could give to hopefully entice the players a little bit more, because some of these players, you look around, they're protecting a system that just is for the stars. It's not for the average player. This system is not set up for the average player. And for some reason, these guys continue just to go along. They just get in line and they keep agreeing to fight for what they've always fought for, but what they're fighting for is a system that allows Ohtani to get $700 million, that allows for certain guys to get $300 million, while the rest of you hope you're here for a few years and maybe you get to arbitration. Well, the rank and file need to stand up for themselves. A salary floor would raise every one of these guys' salaries. The minute you get to Major League Baseball, it would raise these salaries. Everybody in baseball would be making over $1 million a year. You would have guys, everyone would make far, far more money. Why? And sometimes I'm pro player, but I'm also kind of tired of guys who have these unbelievable contracts and they're not worth anything. Like, I think we would all agree as American workers here, when we have employees around us who make good money and they don't do anything, it chaps you. It chaps you. And I look around working in baseball, and you start looking at what some of these guys make, and you go, look how much these guys are making. What? Yeah. What does this guy do? What's your return on investment on this guy?
There's a lot of bad contracts.
There's a lot of bad contracts. There's a lot of guys making a lot of money they don't deserve. And this whole, to me, owners, they own the businesses. They should make money. I think there should be a cap, but I think there should be a floor where everybody would make more money then. We don't need to be paying people $700 million. We just don't. It's ridiculous. But we should be paying everybody else a lot more money. So what the NBA did, you remember with the Kevin Garnett contracts, and they're like, hey, we got to put a cap to this. But then everybody else in the NBA started making more money. It's been better for the league.
Yeah, now players are getting $285 million supermax deals as rookie contracts. It's crazy how that works now with the NBA.
Yeah, but they're still capped. You're not going to get $700 million deals. And everybody down that bench is making more money than ever in the NBA.
And hockey has the floor. Like the Sharks had to spend, they had to spend money to meet the floor or they're going to get in trouble. So I like it. So I'm all in favor of it.
But yeah, like the Orioles now, we're going back into draft pick mode again.
And then they're never going to trade the guys anyway when they are good because they don't want to lose them.
Don't want to trade. You know what that also is? Remember, that also is how front offices keep their jobs. Our front office is not like that. David Forrest, Billy Beane, never been like that. This is how, look how many people Billy Beane's traded away over the years, right? Yeah. This is how these front office guys keep their jobs for a long time. It's always the illusion. It's the shell game. More prospects. Oh, the prospects are worth so much. Can't get rid of these guys. Our future. Always selling future and prospects. That's how some of these front offices and these guys can keep their jobs for a long, long time. We will get more into this. It just, when I saw that today, the Orioles are trading and talking prospects again, I feel like Jim Mora Jr. Jim Mora Sr.
Playoffs.
Prospects. Yeah. We're
also
talking prospects.
Something that makes me hot.
All right, coming up next, Nick Allen, shortstop of the Atlanta Braves, former A. Love me some Nicky Knox. He'll join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
A's starting pitcher JT Ginn joined Towny on A's Cast Live and explained the bond he has of the other A's starting pitchers.
I think we all have a good relationship with, every one of us. I think that was something that happened in spring for me. I felt like those guys, really, we talked a lot and got a lot better there and kind of carried that over here. And, it's good to see those guys every day, and they're really smart. You got guys like Sebi and Springs that have been around a long time, and JP's a really good friend of mine too. And you just sit in the dugout, watch the games, and talk pitching.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'scast. That's athletics.com/A'scast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'scast today.
A's shortstop Jacob Wilson joined Towny on A's Cast Live to discuss the hitting insights he's gained from his father, Jack.
The main thing for me has always been the hands. Being able to push the hands back into a certain slot that I want them to be in to produce as much force as I can. We talked about kind of throwing a punch. Like you don't want to throw it from a very small angle. You want to really wind
static.
out.
You don't want to be still static.
Yeah, you don't want to be static. You kind of want to reach back and be able to produce as much power as you can. So that's always kind of where the hands come from. Being able to push the hands back and really getting into that stance when you want to hit is kind of like a basketball defender. You don't want to be you don't want to stand up too much because the guy can go around you. You don't want to be too low. You kind of want to be right in that sweet spot. So just being able to get to that point and being able to get the hands back where they need to be and just being ready to hit. These guys throw a lot of strikes. They throw a lot of good pitches. So just be able to be as good spot as I can is kind of the main approach.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'scast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's Cast Live continues from West Sacramento. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, a disclaimer. I love me some Nick Allen. I grew up with Nick Allen's mom and his aunt. We went to school together for many, many years. Went to church. My parents were good friends with Nick Allen's grandparents. Also, my brother went to high school with Nick Allen. I went to the same high school as Nick Allen's mom, aunt, and his dad, but his dad left before I got there. His dad has been a contractor for our family business. I know the Allen family pretty well.
Well, I mean, he was excited to see you yesterday, and he's a frequent member or frequent visitor of the chicken pie shop of San Diego and Walnut Creek.
So he grew up going to the San Diego chicken pie shop, which is my family's restaurant, and then we have the one in Walnut Creek that he would go to. So I love me some Nick Allen. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope Atlanta turns out to be a great fit. Here's former A's shortstop, now with the Atlanta Braves, Nick Allen. Joining us here on A's Cast Live, he's one of my all-time favorites. It's great to have him back, and he's at the ballpark here in West Sacramento with the Atlanta Braves. Nick Allen is with us. How are you, my friend? It's been a while.
I'm doing good, Towny. It's good to see you guys.
Now, I miss you. I wish you were still with the Athletics, but obviously a lot of success going on with the Atlanta Braves. How's the change in organizations been for you?
I say it's been smooth, coming from a great organization here with the A's to Atlanta, a lot of great people on both ends. So I couldn't be more excited to be where I'm at.
Yeah, it's like you just switched one A for another A.
Yeah, literally. I got, former A's teammates here in Atlanta, which has been nice for the transition.
Is that crazy how many ex-A's are on the Atlanta Braves right now?
It's amazing. I mean, I'd say the pipeline has kind of been pretty cool to see, but got guys like Grant Holmes, who never made it up with the A's, but was in the farm system, and Eli White. So it's pretty cool to see.
Are there ever discussions? You guys ever talk about it in the clubhouse?
No, we always talk about, how was your times, with the A's or whatnot, like kind of how was the clubhouse or, certain stories. And a lot of people have great memories here.
It's an interesting series for you because you grew up in the A's organization. So all these coaches from Mark Kotsay down and all of these players, you've been with these guys through the minor leagues, into the big leagues, traveling with them, whether it's the big league lifestyle, the minor league lifestyle. What was that like stepping out on the field and looking at everybody at the other dugout going, those are my guys?
It wasn't easy because all I've ever known has been, the Athletics. And it was hard seeing, that sign across the field yesterday for sure. But, I had to flip the switch because I'm now with Atlanta.
Yeah.
But like, again, it was cool seeing guys out in center field yesterday, getting to say hi, kind of reminisce a little bit. I obviously try to keep in touch, when I can here and there, and obviously watch a lot of the games because, like I said, drafted by the A's, so it's kind of all I've ever known.
All right, it's all about a good fit. Seems like right now, as outs above average, you are leading all of Major League Baseball. So playing shortstop for the Atlanta Braves is going well for you. Talk about that transition.
Yeah, I think, first day I showed up, they just asked me what my routine was, and they kind of made me feel really comfortable. So that's all I could have ever asked for. And, worked my way into this role. And I'm just trying to make my plays. Like any ball hit to me, I'm trying to get to and make outs. So it's been good so far.
You made those changes in Arizona. I remember before last season, you were working hard in the off season, and changes take time. Are you now seeing, I remember that great work that you did, all that hard work and those changes, are you really starting to see it pay off right now for you?
100%. I'd say some of the biggest stuff is just like my mental work, trying to be, in the moment as much as I can. And I think that's really starting to kind of take off a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing me, I'm playing my style of baseball, which has been nice.
So for the Atlanta Braves inside your clubhouse, obviously it's been a big disappointment. A lot of people thought Atlanta would be the team that's going to compete in not only the East, but would compete with the likes of the Dodgers for the National League. So just talk about the mentality of a rough year for that clubhouse for the Braves.
There's been no panic. So we're all still really good baseball players. So, anything can happen, right? And that's what we're just going to focus on winning today. And I think that's where our heads are at right now. So, it hasn't gone the way we wanted to, but we can't go back on that. All we can do is come out today and play good baseball.
And when you start thinking about playing on the East Coast, that's a big difference, right? You're a San Diego guy. You're drafted by the A's. Now you're living on the East Coast, playing in the NL East. What's that been like for you?
It's been a good change of pace, Like I said, all I've really known is the West Coast kind of my whole career. So getting to play in Atlanta has been awesome, and great fans, etc. I mean, it's been sweet. We get a lot of rain, so that's a little different. That's a little different than
welcome
out
to the
here.
South in the summer.
Get a lot of rain, but no, it's been awesome.
And that area is so cool. It's like the Braves they've bucked the trend of everybody wanted ballparks downtown. We both grew up in San Diego. We knew what it was like, old Jack Murphy Stadium. Then, we have Petco downtown. The Braves said, no, we're going to leave downtown. We're going to head to the suburbs, build a baseball community, and it has gone well for them. Tell us what that's been like, just being a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Battery. So it's a party, I'd say. Kind of after the games, you kind of got everything out there that you need: restaurants, bars, etc. And like I said, it just creates a great environment for fans to come to and watch a game. So along with just the stadium's amazing as well. So yeah, it's not in Atlanta, but it's obviously on the edge of it. So, but they created a great area for fans to come and watch a baseball game.
Have you noticed the dramatic difference in travel now playing for an East Coast team?
100%. Yeah, it's been different. We've had a lot of night getaway days. So especially after tomorrow night, we'll go to St. Louis and we'll get in at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then have a night game that day. So travel's been a little different than West Coast travel, but can't complain.
Well, we're always going to be pulling for you. You know that. If I could ship you chicken pies from either San Diego or the chicken pie shop in Walnut Creek, I would. But we're always going to be pulling for you. You never know. You may be back with the A's someday. But right now, I'm so happy for you that Atlanta is a great fit. Obviously, what you're doing defensively is the best in all. How does that feel, by the way, before we let you go? When you say it's the best in all of Major League Baseball?
I mean, that feels good, but got to go out and compete today and do it today. So that's what matters.
Hey, it's great seeing you. Good luck the rest of the season. Nick Allen right
Thank
here
you.
on A's Cast Live. All right, quickly, we love Nick Allen, but 2 birthday boys here. It's Lawrence Butler's birthday and the great Road Trip Mike's birthday. We got a Road Trip bobblehead. Happy birthday to 2 great A's. Here is Dr. Emo right here on A's Cast Live. Time now to talk to the pitching doctor, Scott Emerson, right here on A's Cast Live. Emo, it has been a while. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's great to be back.
Yeah, so, a lot to get into today here. We'll go through a lot of different topics. One thing that I really wanted to get into, because I thought about last night's game, and we had it on television after the game, about one of your pitchers talking about, I thought one of the hitters was hunting this pitch, and that's why he hit that pitch out for a home run. It made me think of talking about pitch sequencing. Why do you throw certain pitches? How do you set hitters up? Certain pitches lead to other pitches. So if you could explain what pitch sequencing is to the viewer and listener.
Yeah, I think we've always talked about the ability to go hard in, soft away. We've always talked about if hitting is timing, pitching is disruption of timing. We get a lot of data and a lot of information before each and every game. We know where the hitters' hot spots are, where they make their living, per se. We know when they do it behind an account. We know when they do it when we're ahead in the count. We know what they're doing with 2 strikes. So the pitch sequencing is just trying to get to a pitch that they're not hunting in a certain count, whether it's hard away, soft away, hard in, soft away, whether it's the ability to go to the top rail with a fastball, whether it's the ability to go to the bottom rail with a fastball. And then you got tunneling. If I'm making a fastball at the bottom of the zone and he does not swing, and we're behind in the count, maybe I throw a changeup in that same location, a pitch that looked like the previous pitch, but hopefully with 10 miles an hour off. Or maybe I'm throwing a cutter to the outer part of the plate. It cuts off the plate, and maybe now I'm throwing a 2-seamer in the same part of the plate where it goes for that part of the plate. Instead of going off the plate, it comes back on the plate. So you're always talking about pitch sequencing, which is changing speeds, our elements of pitching, location, change of speeds, movement, and then the holy grail velocity. So you're always talking about that with our pitchers, and then you're always interpreting and reading data to help us get us through that.
All right, it's not always going to be perfect, right? There's going to be some times where you just tip your cap to the hitter. But if a hitter gets a pitch, as you just said, they're hunting. Is that on the pitcher, on the catcher, on both? Who would you say he's hunting the pitch, you gave him that pitch, he knocks it out of the ballpark? How do you view that?
Well, if you got information that, a certain hitter hits balls inside when you're behind in the count, you're generally not going to go inside enough. You're going to go more outside with your pitches. And then if you do go inside, you're going to go a little bit farther in. So when he does swing, he'll get foul. So I think it's just the way you see it. And swing recognition. Swing recognition is a huge part of pitching. It's a huge part of the game. We just put the plan A on the paper. This is what they do. This is the analytic-based game report. Now we also preach swing recognition. The guy swings at 2 breaking balls down and away, and he looks bad at it. You got options. Your options are another breaking ball down and away a little bit further, or you might move a fastball deep in that he cannot hit, so you can go back to that pitch down and away. You don't just throw 2 really good breaking balls down and away for swing and miss and say, here you go, hit my changeup right down the middle. That's foolishness. So, there is a art to this. There is a swing recognition part that you have the game on paper, and then you have common sense, what's going on during the game. What's the hitter trying to do? If you see him diving out and trying to go to right field on 2 consecutive pitches, you may try to move him on a pitch inside to open that plate up again, or you may double up back inside. So there's a little bit of gamemanship that's always going on in pitching.
Well, and as you talked about, if I throw 2 sliders on the outer half that he swings through, if you come back and kind of get his eyes and his body, if you come back inside, you want to get his eyes and his body moving back off the plate. That's pitch sequencing, because now you're going to come back with now more stuff away. One pitch is setting up other pitches.
Yeah, what you really want to do ultimately is have the ability to pitch to a hitter's weakness. If you can't pitch to the hitter's weakness, you got to go strength on strength. And pitchers should always know what their strengths are. Now, does it match the hitter's strengths sometime? Yes. Sometimes you just got to go with it because that's what you got. But ultimately, if you can attack a hitter's weakness, there's guys in the league. Yes, there's guys in the league that have 0 hits all season on the outer third and 0 hits on the bottom third of the strike zone. Can we execute any pitch to those areas of the plate. It really doesn't matter what your metrics look like to that point, because he has 0 hits bottom third, 0 hits outer third, and he's had plenty of pitches in those areas. So those are the things that we're hunting. But what is the pitcher capable of doing? That's the first thing that Dan Hubbs and I, Marcus Jensen, relay to the catchers. What are our pitchers, first of all, capable of doing first? And you'd like to think, major league pitchers can go in, soft away, hard away, soft away.
Every pitcher's different, though. Every guy has his strengths and weaknesses. I mean, that's just – and then you're looking at, as you just said, you have the data of what the strengths and the weaknesses are of the hitters and where they are right now. Like, certain hitters come in, they're not swinging the bat well. Other hitters come in, and they're smoking hot.
That's why some hitters and some pitchers aren't good matchups for each other. That's what the data will initially tell us, like, hey, this is not a good matchup, him versus him. This isn't a good matchup, him versus him. So we have all that data, and if we can execute the pitches that we execute well, then we pretty much have good games. If we don't execute the pitches that we should execute, then we struggle.
What do you think right now where we are in baseball, where velocity is at an all-time high, which means these hitters have been seeing velocity at such a young age versus when we played back in the day where if you threw 90, that was throwing pretty hard. Now, seeing 94, you'll see 92 to 94 in high school now, let alone what you see in college. Then you see all this velocity through the minor leagues. So when you're a professional hitter and you're one of the best in the business and you get to the big leagues, you've seen 100 plus on a routine basis. So it doesn't freak them out anymore. It's something that they see.
At some point, the velocity gets relative, right? Yeah. So the 90s, the 92s back in the day that are now 94 and 96s, the hitters, like you said, they've seen it their whole life. We got more velo machines. I remember growing up hearing about kids in the Northeast not getting outside and playing enough baseball. Now we got facilities all over the place. We got pitching machines built for velo. We got, screens that show pitchers throwing and the ball's coming out of the screen built for velo. So eventually the hitters are going to get to the velo.
They adapt.
Yeah. So now what can pitchers do? They can do what we've always done. Be able to throw the ball to a good area of the plate, change speeds, keep them off balance, and be unpredictable. And that's never going to change.
No, and if you're a pitcher that doesn't have velo and you don't have that God-given gift, that's what you have to be a magician out there. You've got to be able to pitch all around the quadrants on the edge of the strike zone and switch when you start talking about changing speeds with multiple pitches. You've got to be a master at that.
I think one thing that a lot of people don't see or don't understand or forget is you take a guy like Jacob Lopez for us. He's got some good fastball because he's got good arm speed. This guy looks from the side like he's throwing 95, but it might not be 95. But he's got good, what I call deception. His body's coming through the zone, his arm's really fast, and that's why I think his changeup has been really good, in my opinion, this season, because he's throwing it more and he's throwing it with arm speed, and the ball jumps on these hitters. So there's some guys that, you're sitting on the side and you see 97, 98, and you're going, why is he getting barreled up? Because his arm is slow. He's got no deception. It looks slower to the hitter. So you got to talk about that too. That's why you got to use your eyes and watch. A 95 from one guy is a different 95 from somebody else.
It's crazy.
Right? So in time, look, I love velocity. I think we all love velocity. You got to have some sort of velocity to pitch in the big leagues. You just can't not have it. It's a part of our game. Stuff is a part of our game. But the guys with the best stuff that execute pitches are the better pitchers. The guys with good stuff, really good stuff, that don't execute aren't as good. So it's the same thing for me. We're just changing the verbiage. If you're good, you're good. If you're not so good, you're not so good, right? If you got electric stuff and you can locate it, well, look, you're probably one of those guys that gets paid pretty good.
Yeah, we need that analytic. You're either pretty good or you're not pretty good.
Yeah, that's that
would sum up a lot of different analytics right there.
Yeah, and I think we do a good job of that. We look at each other and say this guy's good or this guy's not very good, or how are we going to get him to be good?
When I think about Jacob Lopez, you're talking about a big man who's coming from three quarters with long arms, and we talk about all the time about the long arms and how they're able to get out there and release the ball, but he's coming from this angle, which I think we may see more of now because we think that could reduce having injuries with the arm, but that's just how Jacob Lopez grew up throwing the baseball. It really works for him. And you could just tell by hitters, the ball gets on them fast and they don't see it.
Yeah, it's just a natural way that Jacob moves. He moves a little bit across his body. It's how can we get his hand out in front and stay in the strike zone a little bit longer. Yeah, but he's got to stay in the strike zone a little bit longer. If he's out here and he's bailing the front shoulder and his arm's a tad late, he gets a little scattery. When he's down the slope of the mound, his head is in the action, he's bent over, going a little bit forward through his target, we see a lot of good results out of him. Some have compared him a little bit to Sean Manaea with that little low arm slot.
Yeah.
I've heard several big league hitters say, man, he looks like Manaea a little bit. So, Manaea took some time. Guys take time to be successful big leaguers. I was talking to somebody the other day about Chris Bassett. He entered the big leagues in 2014, and 2020 is really when he made his really big mark. In 21, he had a great season, and it's hard for us to be patient because we want to win so many games right now. But, you look up and Jacob Lopez has done a really nice job for us.
Yeah, speaking of one of the great attitude changes of all time, Chris Bassett, really changed his mentality, turned him into a much better pitcher. I just saw recently Chris Bassett said, hey, after a start, if they need me going into the All-Star break to come out of the pen, I'm available. I went, wow, that's a big turnaround from years ago.
Well, I just remember there was a conversation Bass and I had in 2019. We were talking in the off season, and he just frankly said, you tell me when the phone rings, I'm going to go pitch. And, sometimes, and I'm not saying Bassett, but sometimes pitchers, they want to be starters. And I'm like, just be on the team. That's number one. Just be thankful you're wearing a big league uniform every day. Be on the team. And then when it's your time to start, it's your time to start. And I know you want to talk about that. We got JT Ginn and we got Jack Perkins down in that bullpen.
I love that.
Right
By
now.
the way, I love this. I love this whole starter in the bullpen, guys that you haven't been able to keep healthy, bringing them out of the pen where they can give you 2, 3, maybe 4. I love this strategy.
Well, we've always talked about this, in this organization a long time. I remember 2016, we had a conversation about openers probably before Tampa even, Tampa gets probably the more credit about, having an opener. And I can tell you our front office was thinking about this way before that in 2016, where we were trying to be creative of who we had and what we had. So right now we're just trying to do a little bit maybe of some thinking about, okay, pitching 5 guys a night all the time isn't really good because you're depending on 5 guys to pitch really good every single night. And you got to have those, those high leverage relievers probably who've done it for a while and done it a long time. But now you got some young pitchers who can come in and go 1 time through the lineup, 1.5 times through the lineup, develop some confidence, develop some ability to use all their pitches. You got a JT Ginn and Jack Perkins down there for 1 inning, and maybe they just don't develop a changeup or don't develop another breaking ball. You get them down there for 3 innings, and now they got to, use their arsenal a little bit more. So, I think it's a good plan. I think what we're doing right now has been better for health. I think it's been better to help these guys go out there and pitch. And like I said, you never know. You look up and Chris Bassett and Frankie Montas are in starting rotations. You look up JT Ginn and Jack Perkins could be those guys as well.
Now, certain players, they're coming to the big leagues. We see a lot of the combination. You're going to see 4-seam fastball, which is the straight fastball, normally what you're going to throw at the top of the zone. You see the 2-seam fastball. I'm doing this for right-handed pitchers. Righties are just different than lefties. The 2-seam fastball is going to come down and into right-handed hitters and go away from left-handed hitters, but it's a moving fastball. And then you're going to see either a cutter, a slider, some form of a breaking ball that way. Not a lot of change-ups. Are we now seeing a point to where you need to start developing a changeup? And for these guys who don't have great changeups, this role for them, this kind of long guy, is a great role for them until they actually develop a quality changeup that they could use as a starter?
Well, I think we go back to what I always talk about. If hitting's timing and pitching is disruption of timing, I think it's a good idea to have a changeup. You look at Jeffrey Springs, doesn't throw the hardest fastball, but he has a changeup that offsets that makes his fastball look a little bit harder. And he's constantly changing speeds. He's been very successful doing that. So if guys who throw hard can do that, just think of how more successful they could be at doing that. And like I said, it's hard to time a changeup if you think a fastball is coming, and vice versa. And we just talked about, okay, now hitters are getting on heaters because we're throwing it harder and harder all the time. How do we slow that bat down a little bit? How do we get them out in front a little bit? And if you're flipping lineups and you have a good changeup, then it's going to be successful. And you have to look at, the velocity ranges of the pitchers. Guys that throw, 96 to 100, they can live on 2 pitches a little bit more. They're called stuff guys, right? We've known that for years. You don't need to have pinpoint command. You got electric stuff. But the guys that are 90 to 95 that can change speeds and dot the glove, they can be just as successful as well. And then they can make their fastball look hard. You look at Jacob Lopez. I'll go back to Jacob Lopez. The times he's thrown, 25, 30 changeups in a game, he's been really, really good because they don't know what's coming. And that changeup that looks like a fastball now gets your fastball to beat more hitters, and now you're beating them with changeups as well. So, I'm a proponent of the changeup. With guys that maybe don't have electric fastballs, but I'm also, you look at guys that throw 97 to 100, they're going to be a little bit different. You just put pitchers in different labels or buckets, and the guys that throw slower probably need more changeups, and they're the guys that need to pitch inside more because they need to open up the plate. The guys that throw hard, that sit back, Mason Miller, he can throw whatever he wants. He's got 2 electric pitches, and in general, they can be anywhere in the strike zone as long as he's not too predictable.
All right, this ballpark has surrendered a lot of home runs. Both the A's have hit them and the A's have given them up. The Athletics have now given up 81 home runs here at the ballpark, and it really hasn't mattered with the weather. The weather was pretty cold early, a lot of home runs. Now it's starting to heat up still. So, and we see it in baseball, whether it's been Coors Field or it's been Philadelphia. There's certain ballparks that surrender more home runs. What is the key? What do you tell your pitchers right now trying to keep that number down?
Well, for me, it's really not the home runs that are killing us. It's what's happening before the home run. The Earl Weaver style of baseball, a walk and a bloop and a 3-run homer. We've got to eliminate that. I remember Roger Clemens, John Smoltz back in the day. They'd give up 30 homers a year, and they'd lead the league in ERA because they don't walk anybody. So we still got to be the aggressor. We just can't give a free 90 feet to guys. Home runs are going to happen. We're going to make some mistakes. We got some young guys pitching, but be the aggressor. Don't walk people. Go after them and know where their damage is. That's the one thing, just know where this guy, his power is. And if it's inside, then when you're in, you got to be really good about being in and know when to pitch away and know when to change speeds to keep them off balance. I think it's a product of just making quality pitches and don't give a free 90 feet.
It's a really good point because recently we saw it with Verlander in Houston. One year he did win a Cy. Another year you could have said he should have won another. Both those years there were high home run totals, but he was phenomenal.
That's because he's attacking the strike zone, with really good stuff, and he's not afraid of contact. We can't be afraid of contact. But what we need to be doing is pitching to soft contact. Strikeouts happen. We want strikeouts. Yeah, we want swing and miss, but it's only a byproduct of throwing quality strikes. The more quality strikes we throw, the more we open up the plate. The more we can open up the plate, the more maybe we'll get some more chase and swing and miss and add to the strikeout totals. But what you got to do is, if you're not adding to the strikeout totals, don't add to the walk totals.
Now, I'm being told.
Or the hit batters.
Oh, hit batter.
We've hit some batters.
I'm being told, because today is Lawrence Butler bobblehead, which is a phenomenal bobblehead with the chain. We had Lawrence on, and he said, of course, it's a 1 of 1. You have a bobblehead. When are we going to get to see your bobblehead?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I got one sitting on the bar at the house. Maybe I'll take a picture of it All-Star break and send it out.
And yours doesn't have a chain, but what does your bobblehead have?
It's got a bottle. Let's call it a Diet Coke bottle. Let's just say I'm holding a Diet Coke bottle.
It's a bottle with some liquid in it.
Yeah, that's
How does it look? Does it got the beard and everything?
Oh yeah. It's pretty nice. My sister got it for me for my man cave.
Any special plans for the break?
No, I think just go home, see the wife, see the dog. I think our great bench coach, hitting coach Darren Bush is moving to the area during
Really?
All-Star break. So
He's leaving Florida.
He's leaving Florida, and he's going to be about not even a half a mile away.
You
So,
got a new golfing partner.
yeah, well, he tells me he's got a new fishing partner. So, excited for his family to be right around. And when I mean right around the corner, it's literally maybe a driver, a 7. It's a par 5. So he's really not that far away.
Well, thank you for everything you do for us. We always appreciate it. Enjoy the break. Get some time, rejuice those batteries, and we'll see you in the second half.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Emo right here on A's Cast Live.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn. This has been a presentation of The Athletics.